All right, we are back on another episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. It has been a crazy week of World Cup action, and biting incident happened today in the Uruguay-Italy game, so we'll get to that along with what we think of the U.S. chances to move on after their disappointing finish against Portugal, but still have a huge game against Germany coming up, and a lot of NBA action to get to. LeBron James has opted out. He's a free agent once again. The decision 2.0, Tommy.
Yeah. Should be interesting. Apparently every single team in the NBA is interested, so he's going to go everywhere, I think.
And it marks the anniversary. You know, the first time we started doing this show was the decision 1.0. So it's a testament to us that we're still on the air for 2.0.
Yeah, I'm proud of us.
So
Proud
let's
of
start with
yeah, proud,
let's start with LeBron's legacy. Do you think it's more important to have championships or stay with the same team? Because if LeBron does sign with another team, he will have played for more teams than championships he currently has.
I don't think it should matter how many different teams he's been on, because I think the way that the world works, especially in sports, the free agency thing is just part of the game, and you're not going to see guys staying with the same team anymore. It just doesn't happen. There's way too many external factors that are keeping guys from staying with the same team. But I think in LeBron's case, I think he really does care what people think about him, what they think about his legacy, and I think he thinks that they will not count championships won anywhere else. So I think he kind of needs to stay just so he can, if he does win them all in the same uniform.
I think that his legacy is going to be impacted if he goes to a third team, because if you look at the greats, you look at, the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, Michael Jordan, even though Michael Jordan went to another team at the end of his career, Kobe Bryant's. I know that this era of basketball is different, that stars change teams much more frequently than in the past. But if you're considered the best player in the world, one of the greatest of all time, and you have to switch to three different teams to keep winning championships, I think there's something flawed about that. And I don't think I think if LeBron goes anywhere else but Cleveland, his legacy will be impacted. It's just gonna have a little taint to it, in my opinion. If he goes back to Cleveland, it's almost like he's going full circle. It's like this perfect storybook if he could finally get Cleveland a championship after I don't know how many decades of them not having one. So I think if he returned to Cleveland, it would be the perfect story. But if he goes anywhere else, at least for me, I think there's gonna be not an asterisk next to his name, because that wouldn't be appropriate. But I'm just gonna think of it a little differently, because in my mind, when you have a great star, they attract talent to come play for them rather than go seek out talent elsewhere.
I don't know about that. I mean, come on. I mean, so when Michael Jordan leaves the Bulls to go quote unquote play baseball for no other reason other than he wanted to, yeah, right. He comes back. It's pretty much the same team. Imagine LeBron James leaves the Heat for 2 years and then he comes back, or a year and a half, whatever it was when MJ was gone. That team is not the same. It's not. So just the way that sports work now, you're not going to get the same team. And I don't think it's fair that a superstar is held to a different standard than a role player. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Colin Cowherd brought up a good point earlier, though, that as much as we think recently that, these star teams are what win championships, the Spurs won this year's title. The Mavericks won a couple years ago. The only team with star power that's won has been the Heat with LeBron James. If you subtract LeBron James, what mega team has won? I'll argue that the Boston Celtics were not a one of these star collected not one of these teams that were kind of created through free agency. Of course, they traded for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and some people will say they were the first big three, but I thought that team meshed perfectly together, had a great complement of role players that all fit the team perfectly. You look at the way Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen all fitted that team. Their roles meshed together. They had so much chemistry. It wasn't like what you're seeing with a James Harden and a Dwight Howard, who are teaming up because they're superstars and they think that's enough to get them over the top. And of course, it worked with LeBron and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, but I wouldn't necessarily say they were the perfect match. Dwayne Wade was a number one who kind of moved aside for LeBron James. So I think I tend to agree with Colin. I think LeBron would be in a better position if he could find a team where they would build around him and have the salary cap room to give him these complementary pieces rather than teaming up with all these budding superstars. But as you said, it's just not really the way the NBA works today.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that a quote unquote I think the whole big three thing is pretty stupid, to be honest with you. I don't think that's how a team wins. I think you have one superstar guy who's probably a small forward, okay, or a three, whatever you want to call him. Then you have a good shooter out there so that the defense can't completely collapse on them because they have to kind of keep their balance out there. You have a low post guy who can score a little bit. Doesn't need to be a superstar, so some kind of a stretch four, again, to help space out the floor. Then you get a big guy in the middle who can play defense and rebound for you. And then you get another guard who can also play defense on the opposing team's guards. That's a magic formula, in my opinion. And I think that is what the Heat have when they don't have Dwayne Wade on the court. And it's hard to tell a guy who has been the man and who was the first one there that he's kind of the one holding the team back. But I think that's a perfect match for LeBron James. And if he can't get it there, he should just leave. I don't see why he needs to be held hostage in Miami. It doesn't make any sense.
Tommy, we've talked about this, about both believing in the fact that you shouldn't have a big time scoring point guard to win a championship. I know you're not a huge fan of Derrick Rose.
I hate Derrick Rose.
I don't necessarily think Russell Westbrook can take the Thunder to a championship. We've talked about that before on this show. Score first point guards, when have they won a championship? Allen Iverson was probably one of the closest ones. He took the Sixers pretty much on his back to the finals, but couldn't get it done. Traditionally in the NBA, you have not seen score first point guards be able to get their team over the top. So I tend to agree with you on the kind of the formula for building a championship team.
Yeah,
on
Derrick Rose. Go for it.
Oh, I was going to say this gives us a perfect transition into the discussion on the Kevin Love trade rumors, because Warriors Steph Curry, kind of a hybrid. He is a scorer, kind of a score first point guard, but he also has the passing ability. I'd say he's the closest to a hybrid that we've seen in a while, versus a Rajon Rondo pass first versus a Russell Westbrook score first. Kind of, I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel like he's almost a hybrid.
I don't. You know what role he needs to play? The guy announces a lot of his games. It always makes me laugh because it's almost like he's watching himself out there. He needs to be a Reggie Miller. He can't be the point guard. He needs a point guard with him. And Kevin Love, I think, would be huge because they get Kevin Love. They trade Klay Thompson. Jeez, I can't even talk right now. Sorry. You trade Klay Thompson. You could move Curry now to more of a two role. I think that's where he should fit. He turns the ball over way too much to play point guard. So you get those guys, and then you get a point guard who can just manage the floor and play defense. And I think you got yourself a nice little team there.
So, Tommy, this is why I'm going to disagree with you on this. I don't think Steph Curry could play the two because he's too small to defend a two on offense. He's not.
That's what I'm saying. You get a point guard who can defend the two on offense.
But see, I don't believe in that. I don't think your point guard is going to be big enough to defend that two either. Now, the main reason why I don't think the Warriors should trade for Kevin Love is because of Klay Thompson's ability to pretty much defend any guard, any star player in the league. The way he shut down Tony Parker 2 years ago in the playoffs, he shut down Chris Paul last year. I think it's highly underrated what he's able to do on the defensive side of the ball, and I just don't think it's going to be nearly as easily replaceable as what some people think. I know the Warriors think they might be able to, whether it's a Flalo or who they might be able to acquire to replace it, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher task than people realize. And I know everything Kevin Love's good for. They talk about, how lethal pick and roll would be with Steph Curry. But here's my thing. And I've kind of talked to you about this in the past. I think teams are too quick to make these trades. If I were the Warriors, I would play hardball right now. Think about it. If they tell Kevin, they know Kevin Love wants to go to the Warriors. Kevin Love's best chance to win a championship is if the Warriors or whatever team that try to acquire him give away as little as possible to acquire him. So why not have Kevin Love and his agent come out and say, you know what, we'll only sign a deal with the Warriors right now. Any other team that trades for me, I'm not going to sign a deal right now. And then teams have to worry, is it going to be a similar situation to Dwight Howard and the Lakers where he flees after 1 year and they get nothing in return. So if he does something like that and the Warriors tell the Timberwolves, you know what, we're not going to trade you Klay Thompson. If you don't want our deal for Harrison Barnes, David Lee, a first-round pick, that it's off the table. What are the Wolves supposed to do? I mean, they can hang on to him unless, who knows? Maybe the Nuggets, Suns, Bulls, someone will trade for him. But if Kevin Love's saying, I'm not going to sign with anyone else, they have much less leverage. And then, who knows? Maybe they try to trade him midway through the season. Maybe they start panicking and change their offer to the Warriors. But that's what I would do if I were the Warriors. I don't see any urgency right now. Of course, another team could swoop in and acquire Kevin Love, but if I were the Warriors, I'd play hardball, realize the leverage you have, and don't trade away Klay Thompson before you absolutely have to, because I think that they will regret not having his presence on the defensive side of the ball.
So you really think that Kevin Love only has one place he wants to go?
I'm not saying that he wouldn't be willing to go to another team, but right now I think he's made it pretty clear the Warriors he sees the best fit. He's from California. They have
No, he's not.
best. Is he not from California?
Nope.
All right, I botched that one.
Lake Oswego High School, Portland, Oregon. But he did play basketball at UCLA, which maybe is why.
That's where I botched the California thing. Okay, so he's from Oregon. So the Bay Area it's still close. It's almost as close as LA. All right, that wasn't too far off. But
No, not at all.
I'm not saying I couldn't see him playing for another team. The Bulls have a really good nucleus right now, and I could see him signing an extension with them. But I don't see a whole handful of teams. And all I'm saying is, if Kevin Love came out and said, you know what, I'm not going to side with this team if they approach the trade with the Timberwolves, that team would have to think long and hard about acquiring him, and that puts a lot more leverage in the hands of the Warriors or whatever team Kevin Love wants to be on, and makes it a lot tougher for the Timberwolves to acquire the pieces they want in a trade. So by the time we post this podcast, who knows what could happen with Kevin Love? Because these rumors are out of control. Sources here, sources there. Who knows what's going to happen, especially with the draft coming up. So, on that note, NBA draft about to take place. Many teams try to trade their first round picks, acquire higher picks. Just wanted to get your thoughts, Tommy. What do you think, if you're a team like the Celtics or the Lakers or any team in that area, do you value that draft pick, or would you rather trade for a more proven player because it's so spotty sometimes being able to get that draft pick right?
Here's the thing about the NBA. I know you just kind of spent some time refuting it in the whole LeBron James talk, but if you want to win, you got to have a top 5 player in the league. You just have to. That's just the only way to do it. And it's very difficult to sign those guys or trade for those guys or whatever. So you got to just get them in the draft. If you got a high pick like that, I think the only thing you can do is keep it and just pray that you're going to pick the right guy. And I would go after a guy who plays the 3 because that's the money position right now, and I would take Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins. So you like potential over NBA ready. That's kind of the whole debate between Jabari Parker and Andrew Wiggins. And it's supposedly internally right now the Cavaliers are having that debate. They've been offered by the Magic supposedly the 4th and 12th selection in air to fall for their pick. They seem to be holding tight with number 1. I like Andrew Wiggins as well. The reason, I'm not sure if you mentioned that before, but for me, it's the potential, and especially if they're trying to acquire a LeBron James. Who knows what could happen with that, or Carmelo, because that's been a rumor too. But I think you got to go with Andrew Wiggins. He just has such high upside. I mean, even I wouldn't say this is something to solely draft a guy, but his vertical reach it or whatever that's called in his pro day was out of control. I think it was like 40-something inches. I don't know if you can pick that stat up for me, Tommy, but he's a physical specimen. And the other thing that I heard was that Jabari Parker kind of flopped his workout with the Cavs because supposedly he doesn't want to go there. He wants to go to the Bucks, which I've never heard anyone say they wanted to go to the Bucks before. So that really confused me. But
you know why he wants to go to the Bucks, Trevor?
Why? I'm not aware.
Mallory Edens.
Oh God, we can never get you to stop on this show. We think we're having a serious show, talking all. We sound great, and the next thing you know, we're back to the daughter of the Milwaukee Bucks owner.
Well, she accepted my Instagram follow, so we're basically friends. So I don't feel weird about it.
So she has a private Instagram, and you followed her.
She does now, yeah.
Interesting. Maybe it's all that on-camera time that you've been getting lately. I heard you've been getting a lot of requests from some.
We'll keep that private.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take it too far. They're of age, right?
It's not that private. Whatever.
All right, we'll keep it back on the draft.
We'll keep it ambiguous. We'll keep it ambiguous.
The draft's 18 and above. 18 and above. That's the
18
draft.
is fine. There's nothing wrong with 18-year-olds. Let's go back to talking about Jabari Parker.
Jabari Parker.
Mature.
Couple years out. So As far as the draft goes, though, I think you're going to see a shakeup in the draft like we haven't seen in the last 10 years of the draft. I think some blockbuster are going to go down on draft day. I think one of the top 3 picks is going to be traded. I think something crazy is going to happen. I don't have a crazy prediction, but I think one of the top 3 picks is going to be swapped in a blockbuster.
Oh, by the way, the stat you're looking for Wiggins, he's listed at 6'8", 7-foot wingspan.
But what was the vertical leap?
Why do they not have it here? I will look. I think it was 4. It was something in the 40s. I do remember that.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, and I think he's got he's just so raw that with a little coaching. And I like the David Blatt hire by the Cavaliers outside the box, rather than hiring
44 inches. Sorry to interrupt. 44-inch vertical for a guy who's 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan.
So that's what, like 3 feet 8 inches? No.
84 inches of wingspan.
Yeah, but his vertical leap's like 3 feet 8 inches.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or 3 3/4 for those who like to round down to the lowest denominator.
Gotcha. So that should be something to definitely watch. What, the draft's Thursday, correct?
The draft is Thursday. Thursday is going to be a crazy day for everyone.
Yeah, you got
at 9 a.m. You got to be awake, or
Tommy,
9 a.m.
Phenomenal transition. You've been on top the last few weeks. You've really just been killing it with the transition. So 9 a.m. Transition Tommy.
Yes.
On the dot, 9 a.m. America, Germany, a game that matters a whole lot because of the epic collapse at the end of the U.S.-Portugal game on Sunday.
Oh God, I can't even.
But if 2 weeks ago you told me that the U.S. had 4 points going into a game against Germany, I would have thought we would already have advanced. Typically, 4 points gets you in. At that point, I would have been 100% satisfied. So now that we know what happened in the Portugal game, should we be satisfied with the U.S. performance in the World Cup so far? Or do you think that epic collapse puts a huge damper on it? I mean, of course, we don't know if they're going to advance yet, but just as we sit right now.
Here's the thing, and being the avid soccer fan that I am now, and I am now declaring myself a soccer fan, so for those of you who knew me a couple years back when I was quite the jokester when it came to soccer, Trev, I had a bunch of one-liners for soccer fans.
Yeah, you used to tell me that it would never be relevant.
Oh, gosh, I did. I was so wrong. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
It takes a man to apologize, though. So
It does, especially in public like this. It really does. But, yeah, so like I was saying, I was not too excited about the prospects of them making it out of the group stages after their game with Ghana because I didn't think Ghana was necessarily that strong of a team, and they really struggled with Ghana. But after seeing...
Ghana looked phenomenal against Germany on Saturday.
That's what I was going to get to.
A team that should have beat us 8-0.
That's what I was going to get to. So, but Ghana looked so good against Germany that in the draw there, they drew. That's a soccer term, draw, Trevor. In the draw, that I'm not so scared anymore of Germany. Maybe the United States is better than I thought. So,
it's going to be I
don't know. And 4 points, 4 points might be good. Sorry, just really quick. I think 4 points might still be good enough anyway. So, we'll see.
And we don't want to get too much into all the different scenarios of how the U.S. can advance because it's pretty tricky. But we'll keep it basic, simple rules for advancing. The first tiebreaker is goal differential. The second is how many goals total you've scored in the 3 games. So right now, the U.S. has a +1 goal differential because they beat Ghana 2-1 and they tied their second game. Ghana has a -1 goal differential because they lost the first game by 1 to the U.S. and they tied their second. And Portugal has a -3 goal differential because they lost their first game by 3 and tied their second. So Portugal would have to have something crazy happen for them to advance. The U.S., the main thing they have to focus on is if they were to lose to Germany, they just got to keep it close. They can't have a blowout like Germany blew out Portugal or else the U.S. could be in a lot of trouble. So that's the main thing they need to be careful of. As far as the World Cup in general goes, though, I think it still needs to be taken into consideration how well the U.S. has performed compared to some of these other powerhouses across the world. I mean, Europe has the European teams, notorious for being the best teams in the world, have struggled profusely. Spain eliminated after 2 games the reigning World Cup champs in the last 2 European championships. England eliminated. Italy's eliminated today. Europe, the European teams really struggling. What's been your biggest disappointment in the World Cup now that you're such an expert, Tommy?
My biggest disappointment has been the Spanish. Not
That's
playing
the
well
expert
out.
analysis we
Done.
get.
What? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. The Spanish. Spanish getting not getting out of the group stage.
I think their group was a little tougher than people originally anticipated. I mean, the Netherlands have always been good. They were the runner-up in last World Cup. The Australians actually played really well. I mean, they didn't play great today. And then who was the other team in that bracket? I'm trying to find this right now. I'm blanking.
While you're doing that, can you just explain to me how
Chile's got the home continent advantage.
Yeah, home continent. That's a thing that happens in the World Cup.
Tommy? What did you want to say?
No, I mean, well, it was just kind of going to be a time killer. So now I feel stupid asking you, but it's actually something. How many different names are there for Netherlands?
The Dutch.
Holland, right? Is that the same thing? Are these all the same?
Yeah, they're all the same thing. I mean, we can look up and explain, the heritage and why it's like this, but you could also say there's America, the United States, the Yankees.
No, I mean, well, at least there's America, there's United States of America. And that's pretty much it. So those are the only two. America, United States of America. Netherlands sounds nothing like Holland. And Dutch sounds nothing like any of those other ones.
I'm looking this up on Wikipedia right now to better understand.
I'm never going to know.
I'm looking. I'm trying to understand for you. This is a geography lesson for all of us. The Kingdom of the Netherlands. This is too long. I don't want to get into this.
Don't even get into it.
Another country with a confusing name, Mexico. Very strong performance so far. They advanced with Brazil. A big win. They scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game yesterday. God, I love their coach, Miguel Herrera. Have you seen the GIFs online of this guy? He just throws it all out on the field.
He might be my favorite coach ever. He's 5'6", former national player. Tons of energy. Looks like a square over there. Like his body is just shaped like a square. And he jumps up and down, tackles people, goes insane.
Former shell of yourself?
You mean future?
Yeah, or that. You start out small, come back to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm really tall, Trevor. I'm 5'10", which is above the world's average. So.
That's right, Tommy. World average. I look it up constantly. It's coming in around 5'8".
Yeah, so I'm really tall, but no, I mean, love the guy's hair. He sometimes wears like a running jacket type thing, like one of those Adidas, windbreaker running things with like the neon green piping. Oh my God, the guy is just a character. I love him. I love him.
Yeah, that GIF is unbelievable. I'm sure. Luckily, we got Mexico advancing to the next round, so I'm sure we'll be seeing more classic reactions from him. Talk about classic reactions from the Mexican fans in Los Angeles. They shut down the 5 highway in Los Angeles yesterday. Police were trying to, kind of contain them as they were riding the streets. Next thing you know, they're on the freeway, and I'm just wondering, like, who's the guy leading the charge out of the freeway? Is he looking back and making sure there's people behind him? Is it the same type of thing like Will Ferrell and Old School, like just sprinting out onto the freeway, hoping he's got everyone behind him, turns around, there's no one there? That is a bold move, being that first guy to charge out there.
You know what? You know what I think it was? I think it was a guy on the freeway driving, was listening to the game on the radio, literally slammed on his brakes and turned sideways. And there were enough Mexico fans with the same instinctual reaction that it caused a stop, and then everyone just went insane. Am I off on that?
No, you're making sense. They're organizing well.
Yeah. Oh, I got your answer. I got your Holland answer for you, by the way.
You got what?
I got the Holland answer. I'm very pleased with myself.
Yeah. What's the answer?
Well, there's 2 provinces. One's called North Holland and one called South Holland, which are the main provinces. So sometimes people just call it Holland because, it's just whatever. Those are like their 2 main land areas, and it is informal. But that is sometimes why it's referred to as Holland. So
interesting.
Carry on.
That's our geographic piece for the week. Last thing to get to before we get out of here. Luis Suarez today bit an Italian on the field.
Oh my God!
This would be horrendous if this was the first time it's happened. But this is the third time that he's bit someone in either club league or international action. FIFA has opened an investigation to it. The potential suspension for an incident like this is anywhere from 2 games to 24 months. You would think that it would be 24 months, but this is FIFA. So you never really know what that. This is the same organization that gave Qatar and Russia the next 2 World Cups. So Tommy, I guess for predictions, for a man that's on his 3rd biting incident, how long is Luis Suarez going to be suspended?
Well, the first time he was suspended, I believe it was 10 games when he did it the first time. So you got to go further than that. I think you probably double it. You give him a 10-game suspension. 20-game suspension.
And this is FIFA, so these are international competitions.
Right, so he might be done for international competition for the next year.
And this is Uruguay's probably their most prolific player. I mean, he is what he is. He's one of the most dominant players on the field, and he's a head case, and this is what you get. And today you saw the true colors of Luis Suarez came out. I thought it was he put it in the rearview mirror, but that is insane. 3rd time this is the chart, but you can't excuse that. I mean, the fact that he tried to act like he was hurt after, like he'd hurt his mouth, was one of the most obscene things I've ever seen. Didn't you say there was some? I think you told me earlier, Tommy, there was a pretty crazy prop bet out there that some people cashed in on a Luis Suarez biting.
Yeah, there was a dude in Norway put down 3 euros on 175 to 1 odds that Luis Suarez would bite someone during the match.
He owes Luis Suarez a dinner. Get him some proper food, some non-human flesh.
Yeah, I mean, get your guy's obviously hungry. I mean, come on. But I don't get it. If you do that once, okay, fine, fluke thing. But 3 times, I mean, really, 3 times?
Yeah, it's really unfathomable. I mean, you got to be messed up in the head to do that once. To do it 3 times, you got a serious problem. Maybe, you're talking about this tracksuit that Miguel Herrera is wearing. I mean, I think they got to get Luis Suarez maybe a straight jacket for the way he's been acting.
Or just a Bane mask.
Imagine if they let him play. They said, all right, you're not suspended any more games, but you got to wear this mask on the field at all times.
like a freaking wild beast that's trying to be put in the zoo or something.
I would support that.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everyone would support that. If you could see Luis Suarez play the rest of the World Cup, but he had to wear a Bane-like mask, I think it'd be one of it's you gotta give him a shot with that thing on.
Yeah, let him out there. Let him run around. See, it's a disadvantage. It's hard to breathe. So there you go.
All right. Well, I think it's about time we get out of here. Look forward to next week once the draft's over. Hopefully, there'll be a little more clarity on what's going on with the NBA. We didn't even get to talk at Carmelo opting out or a bunch of other stuff going on, so we can address that more as we got all summer to pretty much talk NBA because we don't really care about baseball right now. Sorry to anyone.
Baseball? It's all about hockey and soccer.
Yeah, come on. We've completely
and we got
changed.
We got lacrosse season coming up. The biggest sport in the country.
What's most important on this show? It's a far cry from what we were talking about 4 years ago.
We got the Tour de France coming up. What the heck are we talking about baseball for? Are you kidding me? No one plays baseball.
No one cares, Tommy. No one cares about the Tour de France anymore. Ever since Lance was out of it, it's like he's like the Tiger Woods of biking. It doesn't matter if he's out there having sex, if he's out there shooting himself in the butt. He wins,
Whatever.
All right, I'm gonna take that statement back. I don't really know what I just said. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here before we start talking in tongues or whatever. I don't even know what we've been saying. What have we been talking about the last half hour? I don't remember a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I gotta get to my book club. I'm running late.
What?
I got to get to my book club. I'm running late. So, I read now, Trevor.
You gotta. We should bring that in the show. First segment, Tommy talks. It's almost like a book report. You talk about what you took from the chapter you read the last week, and we just get a little more. Maybe we have a word of the week, vocabulary.
Yeah, I mean we jumped through we jumped through the twilight zone with the whole soccer and hockey thing. Might as well just go all out. So I'm reading now. So
there you go.
Yep.
Well, now that we can say the wise words of Tommy Morris, Trevor Brew, we are out. We will be back next week with more World Cup coverage, NBA rumors, and I don't know, maybe the latest from the MLB. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of chat of the top novels on the New York Times bestseller list as well.
Okay. All right, we're out of here. We will be back next week.
Yep.
Peace.
See you later, book fans.